Testing. We're recording.
Check one.
Episode 1.
Peanut butter. Peanut butter jelly time. CC De Veazy.
CC De Veazy. The interesting topic today we're going to be touching. First and foremost, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last time I saw you, it was before your transition. And Celeste, hey, listen, the last time I saw you, it was raining in London. It rains every day, you know?
Yeah.
So I can't remember when that was. But how you guys been? What's going on? Let me know. We'll start off with Cairo first. We'll go to Celeste.
Yeah, so I haven't seen you for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more than that, but 2.5 years. So obviously since then, I've begun transitioning.
Yep.
It's going great. I'm so much happier. I'm loving the change that I'm seeing thanks to starting testosterone. I thought, acting is going well, getting into fitness as well, and just, I'm enjoying life. Yeah.
So, let them know who's Cairo Nevitt, who's Cairo Leon, as your Instagram name says.
Yeah.
Leon, is it Leon?
Leon,
there you go.
So my name's Cairo Leo Nevitt. My middle name is Leo. And then obviously on Instagram I just put it as Cairo Leon, like lion in Spanish. Because I really relate to that, and having the courage to sort of live your life authentically and to be true to yourself regardless of what people might think.
Okay.
Or sometimes it takes people time to adjust, but you've got to walk in your truth every day, and it's hard to do that in a world that sometimes tries to put you into boxes and labels. I think everybody can relate to that. And I'm an actor, I'm a model, I'm a spoken word artist, and a transgender activist. And I'll do. Yes, I'll do. That's enough for that.
It says here as well. It says here as well you're a spoken word artist.
Yeah.
How's that going for you? When did you get into that?
I've been writing ever since being a teenager. So from secondary school years, obviously I was in Spain, so I didn't, I wasn't really doing that great in school. School was just hard. Just being a teenager can be tough.
Yeah.
And I get bored, and then I'd be like, okay, I still have to go to school. So what can I do? And then I just started writing because I think I needed to express myself. I think it was hard adjusting, living in a different country, and being a foreigner. When I was in Spain, it was hard. It was a small little town, and I think people didn't really understand me just because I'm mixed race, just because I was different. And it was a big adjustment, so I just started writing poetry as an outlet to express my feelings, because I felt like it was just being bottled up a lot. And then kind of when I came back to London at the age of 16, I did a course in Clapham or Brixton, a photography course, but a few of the guys rap, and they was like, we're going, I can't remember the name of the place we went, but they just did an open mic night, and I just loved seeing spoken words. And then from then I was like, I need to start getting my poetry and performing it on stage, and I've been doing it on and off ever since I was over 10 years now.
Good stuff.
And not only are you an actor, you're also a model as well. I hear that you're very into your fitness.
Yes, I am.
Well, tell me a little bit about that.
The excitement from Kyran.
Man, you're doing that muscle and fitness. Muscle and fitness.
Yeah, so I started training properly with a personal trainer at the beginning of this year, so from January to July, and I did a really intense transformation program. I've lifted things, I've never even dreamed of lifting certain weights, and just I didn't really know what was going to come of it when I began the journey. At the beginning, I got into fitness to help me with my body and my confidence, and because I suffer from gender dysphoria.
What is gender dysphoria?
So it's when you have a mismatch between how you relate to your body.
Right.
So obviously, it's part of being transgender. So it's a distress that you feel with the parts of my body that is female. I don't relate to that. I have a very disconnect.
You don't want to be part of that at all.
Yeah, because I just don't really. It's I just don't relate to that. I mean, I trained with Evolve Fitness. They're a really good gym. My trainer Lee Bennett, he was absolutely amazing to sort of work with. He was a former bodybuilding champion as well. And I think they just worked me so hard. And then this opportunity came around to model for Muscle, Fitness Magazine, and Body Power. And obviously I was really nervous about doing it. I'm not gonna lie, the night before I was completely went into having so much anxiety, and I don't know if I'm ready, I don't know if I'm good enough. And I don't know, some of it's the prep for the shoot, but I think it was a very big step for me as somebody that sometimes has body issues and it's such like a male-dominated magazine, like, and I haven't had top surgery. I'm pre-operation, so for me it was a big step out of my own comfort zone to do that. And you know, I'm so glad that I did. And you know, I've checked out, and I'm actually the first transgender man in the UK to be in a mainstream fitness magazine. So I've got
That's an achievement. That's an achievement. That's an achievement.
And you know,
It's a big achievement.
around, and that's what I mean. It's good to be visible, and I think so many people try to sort of tell you that you're going to have a negative story or it's going to be tragic, and it's not true. Life is what you make it. It's what you do in your daily actions, and it's good to spread hope, and it's good to prove to yourself that you know, there's no reason why you can't achieve anything. These are all limitations that other people have put on you. It's like when you realise that, then you have the power to do.
Okay. So in terms of getting into the men's fitness, into the men's fitness magazine, the first transgender, you know, like, man to do that. What challenges did you face? How did you overcome the challenges, the trials you may have faced?
I think, honestly, like one of the challenges on the day was obviously like I spent 6 months changing my upper body, but obviously I haven't had the top surgery yet. So getting the shots, I obviously had to have a t-shirt on. So obviously, like, you can't really see all the definition. It was hard, like, trying to work out, just showing my abs or showing parts of my arm with a t-shirt on. Because obviously I've got more definition, but I'm pre-op, so I think not having top surgery and doing it was obviously more challenging for me, because I never imagined that I'd be at that stage doing that. Where if it had been after, then obviously I would have been able to get much more shots in much more angles, because I could be completely topless.
Okay.
So that was truthfully the challenge.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of like working out, it's the same as anybody. Like you've got to train hard, you've got to eat properly, and you've got to be dedicated.
Okay. So there was no difference in treatment. You weren't treated different compared to everyone else.
Like, it wasn't different. Like they booked me as a male model. Obviously, I did explain to that transgender, and like, there's certain shots that I obviously won't be able to do at this point, or I don't feel comfortable doing. Right. But ultimately, they treated me the same as any other male model that does photo shoots with them, and my training was, you know, the same as any other man that would do their type of transformation program. The same kind of exercise. Obviously, I had the same goals. You know, I wanted big shoulders. I wanted like toned chest. I wanted a great back. Well, most guys kind of, you know, would like to. They honestly was like, what kind of body do I want, or my dream body if I worked out, what would I like to look like? My goal was pretty much it's the same, you know.
Okay. Good stuff. That's good stuff.
Work hard for it. That's what
Hard work pays off. Hard work pays off.
You know.
Yeah. Hard work does pay off, trust me. And Celeste De Veazy.
De Veazy.
What's going on, my girl? It's been a while.
Very long time.
Good, there's been a lot of things going on.
Yeah, I just came back from doing a tour in Cirencester. I've been working quite solidly. This has been like my longest gap of not working since I graduated, but it's been really good. I try to always kind of define myself and sell myself as a queer actor musician, just because I find it's been really comforting for me to on stage be playing a lot of male roles and to do the kind of more androgynous side of things, because it's what makes me feel more feminine in a strange way. And I know people don't understand that, but me with long hair and wearing like more feminine clothing, I didn't feel right, but like this I feel more female, which for me works, and I know some people don't really understand that. But yeah, I really like the fact that I can play with gender on stage and play with it in real life, and like, yeah.
So, your background, so you're an actor, you're a musician, actress/musician.
Yeah, halves and halves.
So, where did you train? Where was you?
I trained at Rose Bruford in 2015.
That's upper echelon.
Yeah, but saying that genuinely, it started a lyric, which is how we met, obviously, and how we met. It's like without that, like I wouldn't got halfway to it. But yeah, I trained in acting musicianship, and then I started learning accordion and guitar, and those are kind of what I stuck with because that's what I enjoy. And actually, the first time we worked together, it was on a spoken word piece of yours, which is amazing. Like, it's amazing to have like that, and then to come here now. Like, I really like working with spoken word artists. That's probably my favourite kind of collabs and like singer-songwriter stuff, just because I feel like it's something I enjoy, but I haven't got that art form and working with is one of my favourite things. Yeah.
Oh, you recently did some work on Gatsby.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, right? Do anything at the moment? Or?
Not at the moment. So I did Gatsby and Secret Garden and Mother Courage. Actually, Gatsby was the last. Sorry, there was a fly which you can't see. Gatsby was the last female role I did. That was about 3 years ago, and then since then it's I did Mother Courage. I've played quite a few soldiers. Yeah. Oh my god, I loved it so much.
What was that, Mother Courage?
Mother Courage, yeah, it was that. So it's a Brecht play, and it's basically about like going through her following a mother and her children through the wars. But that was a really interesting cast, and I met some really, really great people. Yeah, Josie Lawrence was in that, so that was a real honour to work with her. And yeah. That was it.
You're talking to us.
And now here. Yeah.
So, Cairo, Celeste, this is a question I've always wanted to ask is, there's a very sensitive subject, very sensitive topic. I mean, transgender, queer, for people who don't understand, such as myself. What is queer/transgender? When did you find out? When did you feel like, this is me, this is who I am? How did it all come about for you guys? I think I'll ask Cairo first,
okay.
maybe.
So, obviously, yes, I'm transgender man. So for me, I think it's one of those things that it's hard to answer. It's not like just one set answer to say, because it's such a big, it's deep, like it's complicated, but it's complex really rather than complicated. I truly understood that I was transgender at the age of 25. Some of it is because I had met I'm 28 now, just turned 28.
Oh my god, you look so good for 28.
My casting age is 25 and under, so yeah.
Mine's like in the 40s, or 10 years old, that's it.
So hopefully that gives me a bit more years in my acting career. But yeah.
Good living.
I'm waiting for the facial hair to come in, I can play schoolboy if it's possible. Oh yeah. But yes, I think the year before I came out as transgender, I had met in person, not just like on TV, actually different transgender people, both transgender women and transgender men, which was a thing that I also didn't really see growing up. I've seen some transgender women, not that much representation to be brutally honest, but I had seen that. Where I have never seen a transgender man, somebody transitioning from female to male. I'd never ever encountered that until I was like 24 at least. Right. And before I transitioned, I just identified as a lesbian. I didn't truly quite feel like I fit that thing, but I knew that I was attracted to women, so it kind of made sense enough. And I think when you're LGBT, so many people try to almost sort of say that you should feel ashamed of who you are. Right. So rather than feel ashamed, I just try to really claim that and own that, because I don't think there's any shame in just loving somebody. Like there shouldn't be a shame, and I think it's because perceptions or the lack of understanding. There's a lot of myths around the issue. Right. I feel like I knew that I'm attracted to women, and that was very clear to me, and I wasn't attracted to men, so that was my truth. Right. And obviously now, same way, I think when I looked back at my childhood, I'm one of 4, so I've got like 3 younger sisters. Right, okay. I was very different to my sisters, but my mum brought us up all to be open-minded. Like, she didn't want any of her daughters just to be fluffy pink princesses. Like, there's
English
more
roles. Yeah.
Sometimes you need to take care of yourself, and sometimes we moved around a lot, so sometimes like you'd have to do painting, do some DIY stuff that would be seen as boy jobs or female jobs. Like the whole gender rules weren't really put upon me as a child. So I had a lot of freedom. I didn't really have any clashes because I wasn't constantly being forced into wearing dresses. Only sometimes with my grandparents I'd run into those issues, and I would be truly upset for about a month afterwards, even from the age of 6 and 7. My birthday's in November, so sometimes on my birthday I'll get a dress, then I'll get another dress for Christmas, and then I'll come home from my family, my dad's house, and I just hand my sister all my presents. And be so upset because one, I don't get any presents, and I just used to feel like, why can't you just accept me the way that I am? I didn't know what that way was, but I just felt like it's just clothes. Why are we defined by our clothes, or why am I being forced to wear wear something that I don't feel comfortable in, even
Right.
from like a young age. And then obviously like, so when I looked back, when I sort of put all it's like a puzzle and you're putting the pieces together.
Right.
I watch a lot of YouTube videos of other guys across the globe transitioning from like day one of just socially transitioning to starting hormones and beyond that, and seeing their journeys or understanding them talk about dysphoria and having a name for why you feel different or why you feel uncomfortable. I think that was the biggest kind of revelation to me is when it wasn't just socially, it's within myself and my body. I felt very detached, and that became more and more obvious. It was something that's in the background.
Yeah.
But I feel like when I was 18, I started acting. I remember playing female roles, and that wasn't natural to me. Like, it's really weird to explain that to others, especially because like people, you know, I was deemed as this pretty girl, and I had really long hair, and it wasn't what people saw of me was not.
What you felt is not what you felt inside, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's like I tell people that was like my hot twin sister, but
Oh my god, I love that.
or if it makes people feel better, but really like when I look at it, it's really weird on the outside to explain this, but I felt like a drag queen. I felt like somebody that sort of put on makeup, put my face on, did my hair nice, because obviously I worked as a model and an actress, and that's how I got my jobs. But behind closed doors, when I wasn't in, you know, a show, I would never dress like that. But I found myself keeping up appearances, and I realised, why am I doing this? Because it's not making me happy. And obviously, like my ideas of what a woman is very broad. So I didn't naturally think I'm transgender just because I don't like makeup.
Right.
So it took me a lot more soul searching. But I think when I had a knee injury as well at the time, like in January 2016, I had a knee injury. I was completely unemployed and bedbound while I was waiting for physiotherapy. And it was the first time in my adult life that I haven't gone from one job to the next. So I had that stillness to think, and with the information that I had, piecing it all together, and that's kind of how I came to realise truly that I was transgender. And even in the beginning, I was a bit hesitant to accept it. It's very overwhelming, and I did worry, what would people think of me? Would my acting career now be up now that I'm refusing to play female roles? I'm in the middle of transitioning, and I didn't know what my future looked like. So it's not just a decision that people make lightly, like it's quite a big deal, and it takes a lot of courage to actually just be brutally honest with yourself like that.
Yeah, I can only imagine, because like, I'm guessing for you as well, Celeste, it must be, you know, a similar experience.
It's really interesting, like you say, like your perception of all women is really broad, and I think that's exactly like me and you. I think have similar feelings about like dressing up. I think I don't feel very comfortable, but this is what makes me feel female, and it's interesting. Like, so I go by the pronouns she or they, and I define as queer.
Was that she or bae?
Oh my god, she or bae. Oh, that's it. It's she or bae. That's the new one. So I love her so much.
You're gonna make it.
You're gonna become a meme in itself. That is a thing of beauty. She or they. A lot of my friends are non-binary, so they just define as they, not she or he. And some days I do feel more like a they than a she, but for most part I would say I define as she, and I define as queer because I feel like my gender perception is fluid, and also who I like I used to define as bisexual, but then I did start dating people who are non-binary and trans, and so I felt like bisexual, although I think in the community actually it's shunned a lot. I think a lot of people put it down, especially for bisexual women. They're like, no, you can't make a choice, or you're greedy, or
she wants all of them.
What is non-binary?
So in non-binary is you don't define as male or female, you are just they.
And you don't define this?
I define as female, but there are some days where I feel a bit more fluid, so either call me she or they, I'm fine with that.
Okay. So some days, if I'm correct, some days you're a she, but some days you don't feel like you're...
No, I feel more like I would want to be referred to as they, but I'm not offended by either, whereas I know a lot of my friends, if I were to call them she, they would be offended because they define as non-binary.
So if someone called you a he, would you get offended?
No.
Okay.
Like, it's just not the pronoun I use for myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, like, you got to remember, like, gender is a whole spectrum.
It's a spectrum.
So for me, I've transitioned from female to male. So in a sense, my transition is very binary. I've gone from one binary to another, and that's how I feel comfortable, and that makes total sense to me. But there are other people that are transgender who, identify as non-binary, and again, it really depends on the person, but they.
So wait, hold on, wait.
There's
people who are transgender but identify as neither male or female.
Yeah, they use the pronoun they rather than he, him or she, her. They sometimes they only use they. And it depends. Because obviously, like, first of all, like, there's not one set way of being transgender. There's not like a clear. Obviously, like, there's certain paths that you can take. Like, not everybody wants to take hormones. Not everyone wants to medically transition. Some people just socially maybe change their like wardrobe and their pronouns, and they're happy with that, and they feel that they're comfortable. There's a lot more people that obviously I can only sort of speak for myself and like where my journey is, but just so everyone knows, like there is
this
it's broader than you think
it gets a bit. This is where it gets a bit confusing type of thing, because like say like, all right, obviously I know you, and I know you as well. Right? So say like, okay, you transitioned into a male, you want to be addressed as him, he, etc. Right? And I have no problem with you that I say, bro, I know that's what you prefer. I'm down with that. I can call you that. In my head, I know what you was born as, and to me, you always. Even you look like a man now, and for me, in my head I see a female who's I see a trans man rather than like this is a straight man. Or someone else, for example, say like if someone was to address you as she, or say like we had another woman on the street and someone else, they clearly can see a man and they address them as that. Where does the boundaries come? Is it a thing more in terms of respect, or is it more of a rudeness or politeness? When you stop that?
It's ignorance, I think, in a way.
Yourself, like, I don't know, like how you just said that to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know you, so you don't really mind speaking up. Like, if you don't call like you don't really care. Like,
You know what? Because exactly.
but there's other people out there who would. Like,
Other people, I've heard other people really take it too hard.
Like that, we got like Ben Shapiro, right, and Zoe Turner, right? And you guys had seen the interview with Ben Shapiro, and he's
Yes.
and then Zoe's a reporter who was male.
Right.
She's a transgender woman, right?
Yeah, so she's a
trans woman. So then he was stating like she will always be if that makes sense, in terms of biologics and science space.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? But she prefers to be notified
As he.
So where does the boundary? I want to know where does the boundaries
I
go?
think obviously in terms we're talking about misgendering people.
Yeah.
So obviously, for me, I personally, if people refer to me as she or like do not respect my pronouns, I get very offended because I feel like you're disrespecting me. There isn't any other way to put it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just being brutally honest. Because obviously, ultimately, even just like I said, not everyone takes hormones, not everyone has surgery, or they do, or either way, it takes time, even if they do decide that. Obviously, everyone doesn't walk around the street naked, so it's not always about your genitals. That isn't really anybody's business. Nobody is completely defined by your genitals, even. Well, that is a whole.
That's a whole,
I've got a video, a spoken word piece called "What Makes a Man" on my YouTube channel. But that is a whole depth, because if you ask anybody, the definition of what makes them a man or what makes them a woman is different, because a lot of it is social, a lot of it is like, or even just going in from like being a boy to a man, and that kind of being an adult or grown up, or your own responsibility, and also what your idea of like what role should you play and how you've been brought up is very different.
Okay.
But obviously in terms of like me being transgender, I spent a lot of time, energy and money into transitioning, and I've been socializing as male for 3 years. Like, I've changed my passport, everything except for like my gender recognition certificate is up to date.
Wow.
So I live every day as a man.
Yeah.
So for somebody's ignorance to be like telling me otherwise, it is disrespectful.
So like people that have known you as female, and then all of a sudden seeing you as, well, hold on, Cairo's changing.
Yeah.
How have they approached it? How have they sort of accepted
they've been
that?
quite supportive and understanding. Like, when I came out to my sisters, obviously originally I was a little bit shocked, But then they turned around and was like, to be honest, we have seen you like our big brother in many ways by like how you've behaved towards us and how there's certain ways that our relationship is more like a big brother and little sister rather than I wasn't like the big sister. I was the oldest, but I wasn't like that as a person. When my next sister down, she was like the big sister. The things that she did, the role that she played and how she is. So for them it wasn't that big of a transition. It's just that on the outside, and also I've always been the same. It's just externally mostly how people have seen me and viewed, and I've even played up to it to get work and everything. You know,
Celeste is like,
I do it every day, guys.
You know, it wasn't. That was me not being natural and being uncomfortable and not being true to myself. When we transitioning, living as male, that's my truth. That's how I.
The way you appear does not define your gender. For example, I dress quite masculinely and I define completely as female, whereas you are trans-masculine, right? So you can't say to someone like, well, you look this way, so you are this. And like the best thing you can ever do is literally, even if you see someone you think, oh, well, they look like typically heterosexual and cisgendered, you just say, hi, my name's this, what pronouns do you use? Just ask, because there is no harm in asking.
That's not offensive. That's being polite. If you don't know like anything, if you ask in a you just ask what are your pronouns or how do you identify, then once somebody gives that information, it's like if somebody's changing your name, it's like if you go, my name's Kyran, people will want to call me Fred. Like, that's not my name. Like, you know, you are who you are. It's just basic respect. And what harm is it doing you to address somebody the way that they've asked you to?
Alright, we'll move on then.
Watching.
I got a question for you then.
It's interesting.
If someone doesn't agree with the movement, for whatever reason, does this make them homophobic, transphobic? For example, the Christian who declined the gay couple to make them a cake. I don't know if you have
I saw that.
cake.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't believe in it, does this make them transphobic or homophobic?
It's hard.
It's a great question, Kyran.
I want to say no, because actually, like I want to give equal love to everyone, and I respect people's beliefs. Like, I respect if you can't accept me, but if you are like, for example, you are in a business, you don't really have the right to judge someone's lifestyle when you're a business and they are employing you to do your job. Like, they are still giving you, the money they give you is not tainted. The money they give you is the same amount as if a straight couple gave it to you. It tastes the same, it feels the same. Like, I mean, it doesn't taste the same, don't eat it. But it is no different. You're still going to buy exactly the same thing you would. So you can still have your beliefs, that's fine, but it's different whether you're deliberately coming for someone in that sense.
Yeah, one thing is that situation of the Christian guy in that situation, right? For me, when he did that, I'm like saying that, that doesn't make him homophobic.
Yeah.
Like, if you was to go, let's say you went to Patisserie Valerie and you asked them to do a Black Lives Matter cake and they said no because they're not interested in any political, they don't do political cakes like that. We want no uproar. But I feel like in terms of that situation there was an uproar. Even though even some homosexuals and even people in the LGBT community was like, what's going on here? Like, why are we even talking about this? It's not even an issue. So what I'm asking is, like, even for myself right now, like, right, cool, like, you're a trans man, you're queer, you're bisexual. I don't agree with it, I don't believe in that, but that's you guys, that's what you do. Does that now make me homophobic, or does that make me transphobic?
It depends which one it is, for example. But I think, obviously, it depends. Like, obviously, it's very hard to explain to people, but I think if you was still misgendering me and not referring to me as Cairo and calling me she instead of he, then I feel like that's an action.
It's active. It's an active.
That you've done that is offensive and discriminative. And then that I could say, if that's kept up, especially if I've addressed it to anybody, then that I would say, you are being transphobic because your beliefs, just because of what you believe in, you're disrespecting me. Like, and that we can also agree, like, you don't have to understand every single thing. There's certain standards, certain common grounds, and I think like, I don't believe in everything everyone else says, but I try to be decent and respectful as much as I can in my everyday life.
Right. That's the best way forward, isn't it?
There's a lot of things. I think there is a lot of transphobia out there. like especially at the moment, like a lot of the media purposely targets people that are transgender and scandalizes them, and tries to make them like this alien or monster,
This demon thing,
which I don't, that isn't right.
Do you feel as though, because I'm from a African background, Christian, raised up as a Christian, raised up in a house with mum, dad, my brothers, girlfriends. So transgender and queer is not something that I've been exposed to.
Yeah.
So with that, and if I don't surround myself with, say for instance, transgender or queer, or you feel as though like, okay, I'm trying to speak to this individual, but because they know I'm a such and such, I'm a queer or transgender, and I don't really communicate with you much, do you feel as though it's an offense to you? Do you feel like queer or transgender people are sort of like wanna feel special, feel babied in a way?
Oh, I know what you mean. Well, it's a sense of community, and I understand that, because I think it's not about we want to keep to ourselves, but
I think
it's a really hard
you
question.
go where you feel comfortable, for example, like obviously as a person, me personally, the whole reason that I do my vlogs, the whole reason even like this is a different sort of type of interview that we're doing, but it's all, it's quite
it's open.
It's open and it's new and it's not easy, for example, but the whole point is like people, it's like about a knowledge, isn't it? Like with knowledge you can do better, without it you can stay ignorant for a while, but then like you can be in this bliss, but after a while it can just be like you should make an effort to learn about other people in the world. And obviously I don't expect you to like be in certain social groups if that's not how you identify, but also at the same time, like we are in every layer of society. Like I work, I do many different jobs.
Absolutely. You gotta pay bills.
We all got to pay bills. We all got to pay taxes.
Eat food, like so when you do have that chance that maybe you do come into contact with people that are different from you, it's just no matter what the difference is.
Absolutely.
If it's a difference in race, if it's a difference in religion, like you should at least, everyone has common ground, and if everyone's a bit more open-minded, then we can talk to each other on a human level first and foremost, and then that way you can see if you can relate to people, and maybe that will open your mind a bit more.
We've gone around time a little bit, so I want to touch on the communication and love life aspect of this topic.
Okay.
Right, so our answer is, when should someone be informed of one's sexual orientation or gender identity?
It's up to them. Like for me, I don't immediately meet someone and be like, hi, I'm Celeste, I'm queer, because that's just part of who I am.
But you said that it's part of the interview that you do.
I'm a queer acting musician. That's how I market myself. But it's just like the first time I met you, you didn't go, oh hi, I'm Kyran, I'm heterosexual.
Right.
Like literally, because that's what's assumed. So I'm like, eventually, I hope we get to a stage where people don't assume other people's sexuality. It depends. Like I'll mention it when I feel it's appropriate or when I want to, or sometimes it just comes out and I don't necessarily think of it as a time like, okay, right, Celeste, prepare yourself, now you're going to come out to this person. Like, because for me it's just, I've been very blessed. Like when I came out to my parents, I wasn't even coming out. It was like they knew, I knew, they knew, and like in that way I've had one of the easiest kind of coming outs, and I am so grateful for that. But I think it's different for each person, but you should never expect it to be like immediate, but you should also never expect, I don't know, for them to have to say it sometimes. It's interesting.
I think it's so for example, like I think when I started my other job, like I did go in and tell when I was transgender, because I think when you're transgender, you're changing on the outside, and sometimes it's especially in the beginning, it's the most noticeable and obvious thing. So obviously, like I did in that situation, just because to get people to understand my pronouns and stuff, I had to sort of literally just introduce myself and explain it on day one. I found that was easier than telling people a bit later, and they kept misgendering me, and it just got complicated. In terms of like dating and that, I think I feel like everybody has different. I feel like I'd always be very honest about it, but would I on the first date like say it? Not probably on the first date. The same way that like, I don't know, the first date doesn't mean it's going anywhere. Like you just, it's an opportunity to meet somebody. Anyone going on a first
just
date,
feel their vibe, like
you feel how it is. But you know, I'm upfront about it, but also
we're touching sexual things here now. Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of sexual, like you're not, you know, on date one, you're not sleeping with anybody. Well, I mean, like it's. Well, if you're asking, if you're what you're asking, no, I'll tell you.
I try not to, okay?
So I mean, a woman now, like good things. And she told me that she was man 4. No problem.
What? Are you
I wanna be.
Before you're asking, okay. I think obviously before you get to that stage, I feel like a certain amount of trust or a certain amount of communication should be happening on both sides. Every take responsibility for yourself. Don't be so hungry. Like communicate, communicate. But obviously, if you're getting at like what. If somebody, you know, I identify as straight as well, so I have a girlfriend, and so we are in a straight relationship. There isn't really a difference in our terms of our relationship. It's a straight relationship. My girlfriend being with me does not make her bisexual because she's with a transgender man. Trans men are men. Same way trans women are women. Obviously, I think. I've thought about this before. Obviously, I am only attracted to women, and I thought somebody has asked me, would I date a transgender woman? And I feel like it's something that I'll be open-minded to, because ultimately, if you was attracted to her, like, I don't know, in an everyday situation,
know that she was that, didn't you?
You're attracted to her. You both have some sort of chemistry, and that wouldn't make, or in terms of other people, like it doesn't make you gay. If a straight man dates a trans woman, like.
It doesn't make you gay.
It doesn't make you gay. Like you're dating a woman.
This is what I want to ask.
It literally,
Like cold, right? No one judgment this, right? Yeah.
No judgments. No judgments. Cleansing it. It's fine.
Obviously, before Cairo transitioned, he was a female. Then.
I mean, I lived that.
You lived right?
Yeah.
Cairo.
Yeah.
I saw Cairo. Yeah. Let's look at let me show you guys a photo of him, right? I was attracted to Cairo. I've mentioned a couple of times that Cairo's looking nice. Transition. Does that make me?
No.
No, because I was. You got to think.
You were attracted.
You're not the only guy. Like obviously, I think other guys have come up to me and I had a moment where they just wanna. I feel like before they met me as Kyra before, and you know Kyra was pretty. I modelled, I won like modelling competitions. Like, I was on the outside. I played the part, and I looked great. I looked, you know, that's half the reason why I kept it up, because people made such a fuss about how I looked. But you know, you was attracted to the outside, the external, that was presenting at that point as female. So you was just attracted. You know, like to what you saw. But obviously, like if you look at me now, you look at my Instagram, and you look at me now, I think I've changed a lot. My voice is dropped. I've changed. You know what I mean? And I feel like if anyone was attracted to me before, it's like it's cool. I was presenting as a female. Cool. It doesn't mean that you're now gay. Like you know, as far you know, you identify as straight, and you was attracted at that point to somebody who was living and presenting
as a woman.
So that's that's fair enough.
What do you think of?
For me, it's a very deep subject. It's a very sensitive subject, and you know, like I was even gonna get to the media, obviously pushing the whole transgender, the whole queer and acceptance and accepting it. But I mean, I feel personally, if I saw a woman, right, just put me in Karen's position. If I saw a woman, I was talking to her, I thought, you know, attractive, pretty, we're talking, and then all of a sudden, like later on, I'm hearing, do you know what? By the way, this is the situation. with my beliefs, the way I've been brought up, I don't think I'll, you know what I mean? I'll be thinking, whoa.
So is the biggest fear then, like more if you was dating, in case you was in that situation on a date, is that more than where the fear is in case somebody turned around and was like, actually I'm transgender, and you was on a date with them, or do you mean like your everyday life? Because I feel like, from what you said, it's more like if somebody turned around and said that to you.
I think everyday life, like Kyran was saying, he saw you, Cairo, as Kyra. And he thought you was attractive.
But we never did.
But then, no, not like that. But obviously he saw you and he thought, oh, you're pretty, like, you know what I mean? But then he started to question, like, whoa, okay. So if he just
reached out to me, like, we're just chatting now,
if you break it up.
It wasn't like a thing that I'm waiting to.
No, not like that. But you thought.
I was like,
Cairo attractive. But like me being here now was Cairo, and you've seen me transition. Like that was just, again, it's like people from a distance thinking something. But me and you, like face to face, or me, since me being honest, and I'm not transgender, or me living every day as a man, my truth.
That doesn't change anything about your sexuality.
No, absolutely. But for me, I think for me it would probably be different if I knew you as Kyra as a friend, and then you went through your transition. Obviously, as a friend, I'd be compassionate. You know, I'll be compassionate to the transition. I'll ask you questions like, wow, what's happening? Like, you know, what's driving the change? And I guess once the transition's like gone through, I'll probably be more accepting and more compassionate.
But it's just like, Kyran, when you knew me, I was defining as straight. Our relationship has not changed at all. So even though you say like, okay, these aren't your beliefs, the way you treat me has always been exactly the same. So I mean, that shows you aren't homophobic. In no way. And I think that's the thing. It takes having a friend, I think, when it isn't something that is you're used to or you've been socialized to actually accept. As soon as you have that person in your life, that one friend, and then you're like, oh, I suddenly see like it's completely different now because I've seen you go through it. Until then, there will be a barrier and it will feel like it's more of a separated thing.
Absolutely, that was the point I was trying to make.
I don't agree with, because there's a lot of, I'm gonna lie, there's a lot of Christians. I can't think I've already Christian myself. There's a lot of Christians who they have beliefs about the LGBT community. That's cool, fair enough, I do too. But then they try and impose those on other people or segregate them away. And I'm not, like, for me, how I believe is that I'm here to show love. I don't believe that.
But then somebody could also say that with what's happening in the media, because the media are really pushing the whole transgender. Some people also argue that it's the other way around.
They're scandalising people that are transgender. They're making them out to be.
That's very interesting. That's a different view.
I choose to be visible as a transgender man to actually represent properly,
to get the same rights that everyone else has.
To have exactly the same rights that of human rights, first and foremost, and to also enlighten the difference between things that are myths and associated with the mania of the media. The same way that years ago people, I'm mixed race. There's times when people are like, oh no, you can't have interracial relationships. Oh no, don't. Or black people, they can't read in the dark, and like all these kind of myths. It took people campaigning for their rights and people being present and visible and speaking up and making some noise for you to get your rights. And this hype about transgender, the only hype is the scandals of the media when they're being horrible and transphobic and malicious, and the rest of it is just it's a group of people trying to get what they deserve. They're entitled to respect. Because ultimately we just want to live a life. Simple. But it's hard, like when I have to, I'm legally transitioning, I need to have the rights to be able to do that. And then once, all these little things in place, I just get on my life and I'm happy. It doesn't really affect anybody else. But people, it's more the ideology behind it and the fear. The fear is the biggest thing that separates us on any given subject, is fear. That's why you need to talk it to people. Once you usually have one friend, then it's
suddenly like it's not a big hype thing. It's like, oh.
Do you know what I mean?
And for me, I think this is where that Food for Thought TV is really, like, is a great platform in a sense that if it wasn't for Food for Thought TV, I probably wouldn't be sitting down.
Well, this is what I mean, and I feel completely comfortable with you guys. That's what I love.
Absolutely. Or I wouldn't be talking to Cairo or Celeste. And for me, like speaking to you, I've seen the other side of the spectrum, how you feel, like, you just want to be accepted for who you are, not be judged all the time. And I'm guessing if we want to talk racial as black people for years,
It's something I'm never ever gonna understand.
Absolutely, like you just want to be accepted for who you are. So I get it.